You say you want to grow. You say you want to become more. But the truth is, most don't even realize that they are the ones standing in their own way. A woman becomes powerful the moment she stops waiting to be saved, the moment she stops waiting to be understood, to be seen, to be chosen. She becomes powerful when she realizes that no one is coming and that this is not a tragedy. It is freedom. Because responsibility is not a burden. It is the key. As long as you blame others for where you are, you remain average. As long as your story begins with, they did this to me, you keep yourself small, you give away the very power you were born to master. Understand this: every excuse, every finger pointed outward is energy wasted. Energy that could have been used to build yourself, to evolve, to walk away, to focus. But you used it to explain your limitations instead. No queen ever rose from complaint. She rose from accountability. And this is not some loud motivational fantasy. It is the most brutal, honest truth. Your life is your own, and so is your outcome. In July 2025, this truth must cut through your illusions like a blade. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a participant. And if you don't like your life, good. That discomfort is a signal, a message, but only if you're brave enough to listen. A woman with a queen's mindset does not look at life and ask, why me? She looks in the mirror and asks, what now? As growth is not found in books or affirmations. It is found when you confront your own laziness, your own patterns, your own unwillingness to rise. You want to be more. Take more responsibility for your thoughts, for your schedule, for your energy. No one is forcing you to scroll endlessly on your phone. No one is dragging you into gossip, drama, or emotional chaos. You walk there by choice. So stop pretending. Average women wait to feel motivated. They wait for perfect timing. They wait for validation. Queens don't wait, they act. And they act regardless of how they feel. You have to stop confusing being tired with being lost. You are not lost. You are just out of alignment. You are not broken. You are just distracted. You are not weak. You are simply undisciplined. And discipline is something you build step by step, hour by hour, one choice at a time. There is nothing more dangerous than a woman who has taken full control of herself. Not her appearance, not her image, her self, her emotions, her triggers, her decisions, her space. She becomes untouchable, not because she's cold, but because she's rooted. She knows who she is. She doesn't chase, she chooses. When a woman stops blaming, she starts creating. That is when the shift happens. That is when the world begins to feel her presence. Not because she shouts, not because she posts it, but because her energy speaks. Her actions speak, her peace speaks. You want to change your life, then change your thoughts and take responsibility for every thought that weakens you. Replace it, remove it, rewire it. Every single morning, you must remind yourself, this life is mine. These habits are mine. This energy is mine. And this direction, this path is mine too. Nobody owes you understanding. Nobody owes you belief. It is your job to become undeniable. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you finally stop running from your reflection, from your laziness, from your fears, from your patterns, and instead look, watch, study, and choose different. When you take responsibility, people will think you've changed. And they're right, because the version of you who accepted everything is gone. The version who settled is gone. You don't apologize for wanting more anymore. You don't explain your silence. You don't beg to be heard. You build quietly, consistently, on your own terms. This is the real awakening, not the fantasy of becoming a queen, but the process of killing the victim inside of you. You are not here to be liked. You are here to evolve. And every time you take responsibility, so you rise one step closer to the woman you were meant to become, the one who speaks less, the one who does more, the one who lives with precision, with focus, with fire. July 2025 is not just a date, it's an opportunity, a reset, a breaking point. This is the month you either collapse under your patterns or crush them. You choose, always, you choose. No more asking for permission. Uh, no more needing others to understand. If they don't see your growth, that's not your concern. You are not here to convince anyone. You are here to build yourself brick by brick in silence, with discipline, with responsibility. And when that becomes your mindset, nothing about you will be average again. Silence is misunderstood. Many believe silence is weakness, that it means fear or passivity. But those who truly understand growth know this: a silence is power, not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of control. The silence that comes when you no longer need to speak just to be seen, when your energy begins to speak louder than your voice. In July 2025, many women are still wasting their strength on noise. They are constantly explaining themselves, defending their choices, proving their worth. So, but why? Who are you trying to convince? The moment you feel the need to explain your value, you've already stepped out of your power. A woman who knows herself does not beg the world to agree. She allows her presence to say everything. You must learn to retreat into silence, not to disappear, but to build, to sharpen, to observe. That's where true transformation begins. Growth doesn't happen when you talk. Growth happens when you watch, when you study your reactions, when you feel the anger rise and choose to hold it, when you feel the fear tighten your chest but continue to act anyway. These are the silent victories. The quiet decisions that no one sees, but that shape everything. The average woman reacts to everything: a look, a comment, an opinion. She lives her life trying to defend her image. But the woman who is rising, the one becoming a queen, she doesn't react. She calculates. She chooses when to speak, how to speak, and more importantly, when not to. Her silence is not a void, it is a container. And it holds something more powerful than words: control. You see, words can be manipulated, but energy never lies. A woman in control of her silence holds more presence in one glance than another does in 100 words. Because silence, when mastered, becomes a weapon, not against others, but against ego. The ego wants to scream, to argue, to win. But what do you really win by shouting, by posting, by explaining to those who don't want to understand? Silence is for the woman who is building. She doesn't announce her every move. She doesn't post her every step because she understands something deeper. Real power doesn't need applause. Real power is quiet, focused, grounded. And that is what this season demands of you. Less proving, more building, less noise, more alignment, less talking about who you want to be and more silently becoming her. July 2025 is not about volume. It is about vibration. What are you sending into the world when you walk into a room? What are you carrying in your energy that others can feel without you saying a word? That's the real transformation. When you are so rooted, so aligned with your growth that your silence becomes louder than the chaos around you. You begin to move differently. You're no longer easily offended, no longer pulled into emotional traps. You don't need to chase validation because your validation is internal, quiet, unshakable. But don't confuse silence with submission. You are not silent because you're scared. You're silent because you've outgrown the need to perform. There is a difference between silence from pain and silence from mastery. The first shrinks, the second expands. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you win. Every time you hold back the urge to argue and instead focus on your mission, you rise. Every time you let go of explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, you take back your power. It's not easy. Silence requires strength. It requires emotional control. It requires you to sit with yourself fully, to look at what triggers you, what angers you, what scares you. And instead of blaming, you hold space for it. You study it. You rise above it. That is self-mastery. That is the mindset of a woman becoming something unstoppable. You don't need to be seen to be valuable. You don't need to be heard to be powerful. Your power is not in volume, it's in direction. And the more silent you become, the more clearly you hear your own truth. The voice inside that says, this is not where I stay. I was made for more. So I will rise. Let the world guess what you're doing. Let them wonder how you're changing. You don't need to prove anything. You need only to focus. The woman who stays silent while she builds will eventually become so loud in her results that no one can ignore her. So choose your silence wisely. Don't use it to avoid life. Use it to conquer yourself. Don't use it to hide. Use it to prepare, to grow, to return with clarity, with purpose, with fire. Because when you master silence, you master presence. And when you master presence, you no longer chase anything. You attract everything. This is your power. And it starts with choosing silence over noise, control over reaction, growth over performance. That is the mindset that separates you from the average. That is the silence that turns women into queens. Emotion is energy, but uncontrolled emotion is chaos, and chaos, when left unmastered, is what keeps a woman trapped in cycles that destroy her power. In this world, you will be tested daily. People will trigger you. Life will shake you. Your plans will fall apart. Your expectations will be betrayed. The question is not whether it happens. So it's whether you have trained yourself to respond or whether you still live in reaction. Emotional discipline is not optional. It is essential. Without it, your strength will always be temporary. One small comment can ruin your entire day. One person's opinion can make you shrink. One memory can make you spiral. This is not power. This is slavery to your emotions. A woman rising cannot afford to be emotionally weak, not in July 2025, not now. There's too much at stake. You want transformation? Then you must become dangerous in your calm, stable in your storms.
Yeah.
You must become a woman whose heart feels everything, but whose mind decides the direction. It begins with one truth. For you are not your emotions. How your emotions are messengers, not masters. They rise, they speak, and they pass. But too many allow them to dictate behavior, to control decisions, to hijack focus. That is not strength. That is being led by every wind. You must train yourself to pause. In that moment between the feeling and the reaction, there is space. And in that space, there is freedom. The freedom to observe, the freedom to choose, the freedom to rise above what once controlled you. That's where the queen is built, in that space, not in public, not in applause, but in that inner war where you decide to hold when everything in you wants to explode. You want to be respected. Then master your emotions. You want to be trusted. Then become consistent. Not when things are easy, but when everything is falling apart. Anyone can look composed when nothing is wrong. The real test is who you become under pressure, under betrayal, under loss. That's when your true self is revealed. Discipline is not about suppression. It's not about denying what you feel. It's about directing it, owning it, feeling it fully, but not letting it define your behavior. Cry if you need to. Breathe if you must. But never lose your center. Never abandon your principles. And never let emotion make your decisions for you. You must become predictable in your inner world, not to others, to yourself. You must become someone you can count on, someone who doesn't self-destruct every time life gets hard, someone who doesn't fall apart at every rejection, every delay, every moment of doubt. That's real power, quiet power, lasting power. And understand this emotional discipline isn't built in theory. It's built in moments no one sees. When you want to scream, but you breathe instead. When you want to quit, but you take one more step. When you want to respond with anger, but you choose clarity. These are the silent victories, the private moments that build public strength. In July 2025, the world doesn't need louder women. It needs FSC's wiser women, not ones who fight everything externally, but ones who conquer internally. The woman who has trained her emotions is not less emotional. She is more dangerous because she feels everything deeply, but no longer lets anything shake her. You will be tested by people who are emotionally undisciplined. They will try to pull you down. You will be provoked, lied to, abandoned, ignored. But your response determines your elevation. Will you react and shrink into the old self? Or will you hold your ground, stay in control, and rise? Let them wonder how you stay so calm. Let them guess why you didn't lash out. That is strength. That is presence. And that is how you protect your peace without making noise. Your emotions are sacred, but sacred things must be guarded. Just because you feel something does not mean it belongs to the world. Not every emotion deserves expression. So, some need to be burned inside you until they become wisdom. Others need to be studied until they lose their grip on you. The woman who controls her emotional world becomes untouchable in the external one. She doesn't get pulled into drama. She doesn't fall into emotional traps. She moves from purpose, not pain. And when she speaks, it's with clarity, not confusion, with direction, not reaction. And the world feels it. People feel it. They may not understand it, but they respect it because that kind of presence can't be faked. It's earned. So train yourself daily. Start with awareness. Feel the emotion rise and choose not to follow it. Practice silence. Practice stillness. Let emotion pass through, but don't let it stay and rule your day. You are not a child anymore. You are building something sacred, and sacred things require control. So the difference between the average and the powerful is simple. The average woman reacts. The powerful woman regulates. You decide which one you'll be every day, every moment, every test. Choose well. Stop chasing. That is the first lesson. A woman who chases is always reaching outside of herself for something that was never meant to be pursued. Attention, love, approval, opportunities, these things are not earned by running after them. They're attracted by not by how much noise you make. A queen does not chase, she builds. She builds herself in silence. She builds her habits, her mind, her body, her presence. And when she becomes aligned with her purpose, she doesn't need to beg for anything. She attracts everything, not through charm, not through performance, but through stillness and strength. There is something deeply broken in the belief that you must be everywhere for everyone all the time, that you must prove yourself in every space, that you must constantly announce your value, your beauty, your worth. That is the mindset of someone disconnected from their own source. The woman who is truly rising understands this truth. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If your energy is chaotic, you attract chaos. If your heart is desperate, you attract those who feed off desperation. But if your life is grounded, if your routine is sacred, your peace is protected, your mind is sharp, then you begin to attract those who are aligned, focused, and powerful. Stop looking outside. Everything you need to build a magnetic life already lives within you, but it must be cultivated. You cannot plant seeds in your soul and forget to water them. You cannot expect miracles from a mind filled with confusion. You cannot ask the world to respect a version of you that you yourself do not honor. Attraction is not luck, it's structure, it's focus. It's how you wake up, how you speak to yourself, how you carry yourself when no one's watching. A woman who has built herself doesn't need to prove anything. She walks into a room and the room adjusts. But this doesn't come for free. You must sacrifice the need for constant validation. You must be willing to sit in seasons of invisibility while you do the work. You must accept that many won't understand your silence, your focus, your refusal to play small. But that is not your concern. You are not building for approval. You are building for alignment. In July 2025, the feminine energy is not weak. It is not passive. It is not loud. It is precise. It is grounded. It is powerful without needing permission. The woman who is rising now is not rising through volume. She is rising through direction. She doesn't scatter her energy. She protects it. She doesn't chase relationships, she deepens the one with herself. And because of that, she becomes magnetic. Understand this. People feel your energy before they hear your words. If your energy is scattered, needy, unhealed, no amount of beauty or intelligence will hide it. But if your energy is calm, directed, and self-sustaining, you don't need to say much. The world feels the shift. They feel the pull. This is why you must build. Build your mind through discipline. Build your space through boundaries. Build your body through movement. Build your peace through solitude. All of this work creates a force that cannot be ignored. And then, when the time is right, the right people, the right moments, the right doors, they open. Not because you forced them, but because you became the version of yourself that was already worthy of them. You rose to the frequency instead of dragging life down to meet you in your old patterns. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you were always meant to be before the noise, before the wounds, before the distractions. That version of you is still there, waiting, but she cannot emerge in chaos. She emerges in stillness, in focus, in intention. You want to attract more, then become more, not for anyone else, not to be seen, but because you refuse to stay small. You refuse to betray your own potential. And you finally understand that building is better than begging. That focus is better than noise. That being chosen is not your goal. Becoming undeniable is. So stop chasing, start building, and let the world meet you where you've elevated to. Because a woman who is grounded in her power will always attract more than a woman who is chasing shadows. This is the new path. Walk it with grace, walk it with fire, and never forget what you build in silence becomes what speaks for you in every room you enter. Every day, your time, your energy, your focus, these are being stolen, not by force, but because you allow it. Most women are exhausted, not because they're weak, but because they're too open, too available, too distracted. They say yes when they mean no. They explain when silence would be stronger. They entertain people, situations, conversations that do nothing but drain them. And they call this kindness. They call this being good. But it's not kindness if it costs you your peace. It's not strength if it breaks you. The woman who is rising now must learn to protect her time like her life depends on it, because it does. You cannot grow when your life is a revolving door. You cannot build anything sacred if your focus is scattered. You cannot become powerful if everyone has access to you at all times. A queen doesn't let just anyone in her space. Not everyone gets her time. Not everyone deserves her energy. She does not apologize for this. She enforces it. And that's why her presence feels different, because it's rare, it's protected, it's intentional. Look at your life, look at your calendar, look at your habits. Who are you giving your time to? Who are you allowing into your emotional world? So, are they helping you grow? Are they feeding your fire? Or are they simply noise? Distractions in disguise. Every yes that you give out of guilt is a no to yourself. Every conversation you allow out of habit is a delay in your path. Every time you let someone cross your boundary without consequence, you tell yourself, I don't matter. But you do. And that's the shift. In July 2025, this is the new standard. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. You don't owe anyone your time. You don't owe anyone your attention. You don't even owe them a response. If they cost you your clarity, they are too expensive. Average women keep their doors open to everything, every call, every message, every opinion. They absorb the world and wonder why they feel heavy. The woman becoming a queen doesn't operate like that. She filters, she refines, she simplifies. Her circle is small, her schedule is clear, her boundaries are sharp, and her life begins to reflect that power. And no, not everyone will like it. Some will say you've changed. Some will call you distant, cold, arrogant. Let them. Their discomfort is not your burden. So growth always looks like distance to those who were never meant to stay close. Do not dim your structure to make the unstructured feel comfortable. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to become the highest version of yourself. And that means saying no often, clearly, without guilt. That means protecting your mornings, your focus, your routines. That means understanding that your time is your wealth, and wasting it is self-abandonment. You must become unavailable to anything that lowers your frequency. Gossip drama, low standards, emotional chaos, these things must not have access to you. Not because you're better than others, but because you're finally aligned with something greater: peace, purpose, power. A disciplined woman is a dangerous woman, not because she's loud, but because she's clear. And when she's clear, she cannot be manipulated. Not by people, not by pressure, not by emotion. She moves from intention, not impulse. So train yourself every day to say no when you must, to walk away when it's time, to choose solitude over company that drains you, to choose silence over noise, to honor your standards even when it's uncomfortable. So you are not selfish for putting yourself first. You are not wrong for protecting what you're building. This life you're creating, it demands your full presence, your full focus. You don't have time to entertain what no longer fits. You don't have time to be soft with your boundaries anymore. Let this be the year, the moment where you stop explaining and start enforcing, where you stop bending and start standing, where you stop hoping and start choosing. You are not here to be accessible. You are here to be aligned. And when you begin to protect your time, so your energy, your standards, something shifts. You start to glow differently. You start to walk differently. You stop chasing, fixing, and proving. You become rooted, calm, certain. And in that space, the right things come to you, not because you begged for them, but because you finally became unavailable to everything that what wasn't meant for you. This is your power. This is your protection. And this is how average is left behind. Emotion is not the enemy. Emotion is part of being human. But when emotion becomes stronger than your vision, you lose yourself. You begin to move without clarity. You react without direction. You make decisions from a place of weakness, not wisdom. A woman who leads with vision is rare because vision is long-term. Emotion is short-term. Emotion says, right now I'm angry. Vision says, but this is where I'm going. Emotion says, I feel rejected. Vision says, I'm not here to be chosen. I'm here to build. Emotion wants comfort. Vision demands discipline. You can't follow both. This is the mistake most women make. They say they want to grow. They say they want to rise. But when the pressure comes, they choose the emotion. They choose distraction, doubt, delay. They choose to shrink instead of step forward. They let a bad day break them. They let fear speak louder than purpose. Growth does not happen that way. Greatness is not born from comfort. You rise when you learn to act regardless of how you feel. You rise when you stop trusting every emotion that comes into your mind and start obeying the direction that was given to your soul. Your vision must be stronger than your mood. It must be clearer than your pain, because your emotions will test you every single day. Some days you'll feel tired. Some days you'll feel empty. Some days you'll feel invisible. But none of that changes who you are. None of that changes what you've committed to. This is why most never evolve, because they still live by emotion. They wait to feel motivated. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel supported. But vision does not wait. Vision demands you act now, especially when you don't feel like it. July 2025 is not a time to be emotional. It is a time to be focused. This is not the season to let doubt rule your life. This is the season to lead yourself. That is what real leadership is, not controlling others, but mastering yourself. And this starts with one powerful shift: understanding that feelings are temporary. Vision is not, you will feel sad. Keep building. You will feel afraid. Keep moving. You will feel discouraged. Stay on the path. Let others live by their moods. Let others collapse when they are overwhelmed. But you must be different now. You must be the woman who shows up even when the world is silent, even when it's hard, even when the outcome is uncertain, because that's what separates the average from the powerful. You don't get to rise and still be ruled by every storm that hits you. You don't get to build an empire while making decisions based on how you feel in the moment. You must rise above your feelings without denying them. Feel them, process them, but never bow to them. There is a deeper part of you that knows who you are. That part is not emotional. It is still. It is ancient. It is wise. When your feelings become loud, sit with that deeper part. Ask, what is true? What have I committed to? What is the bigger picture? Because most emotions are small, they are momentary. They are based on fear, on stories, on your past. They are not truth. Truth is the vision. Truth is the discipline. Truth is the decision you made to become more, to build something greater than your circumstances. This is the new standard. The emotionally reactive woman is leaving. The emotionally aligned woman is rising. She doesn't run from feelings. She uses them. She doesn't numb herself. She channels her emotions into creation, into training, into focus, into silence, into presence. That is where your power lives, not in the chaos of what you feel, but in your ability to stay centered in it. Every time you choose vision over emotion, you grow. Every time you take action instead of making an excuse, you win. Every time you return to your path, even after falling, you evolve. Do not waste this season. July 2025 is not just another month. It is a moment. It is a portal. It is a break between the old and the new, between who you were and who you are becoming. But you must choose. You must say, I will no longer be ruled by emotion. I will lead myself with vision. I will rise above what I feel. I will stay true to what I know. This is not easy, but nothing about rising ever is. Let others be soft with themselves. Let others collapse, but you will stay rooted because you've seen what it looks like to fall. And now you are ready to rise with vision, with clarity, with force. You were not made to live at the mercy of your emotions. You were made to lead. Start leading yourself.